First on Fox tonight, the Ebola battle is about to include hundreds of soldiers at nearby Fort Campbell. 700 members of the 101st Airborne will be joining some other soldiers in Liberia in Africa by the beginning of November.
That's right, Scott. It's a departure from previous deployments, but the division commander says their mission is just as critical. Fox 17's Sky Arnold joins us in studio with a report on the efforts to keep these soldiers and their community safe.
Well, these soldiers will not be treating patients directly, but they could be interacting with people who in turn have had contact with others who were exposed to Ebola. Now, it's one reason both the post and surrounding community are preparing for an emergency just in case.
Where are you at exactly, ma'am?
Emergency dispatchers ask a lot of questions.
Okay, is anybody hurt?
But last week, Stephanie Blevins and her co-workers got a list of new ones.
Been to a country or region, primarily Africa, within the last 21 days.
To be asked when there's a medical call that has the possibility of being an Ebola case.
Had contact with bloody or bodily fluids.
Our biggest line of defense is 911. The more information we can get out of someone, obviously the better prepared we are when we get on a scene.
Elizabeth Black says Montgomery County is preparing for Ebola dangers that could come from any resident. But there's no denying this county has an unusually large number heading into countries of risk.
And their efforts to contain the Ebola virus is just as critical to our nation and its future as our missions in Iraq and Afghanistan have been.
This ceremony is part of the process to deploy 700 Fort Campbell soldiers into Liberia.
Our mission is not to treat infected patients.
Major General Gary Volesky says his troops will help build needed Ebola treatment units and train local medical workers. Those soldiers spent last week training for any potential pandemic dangers, and Volesky says the precautions won't end when they get back on the plane for Fort Campbell.
We're going to monitor them to see if they've got any of those symptoms, and we're going to continue to monitor them throughout the redeployment process.
Much like the work in this room, it's emergency planning. Everyone hopes they don't need.
Just hopefully we won't need them, but they're there.
Now, 30 of those soldiers are already on the ground in Liberia. The remaining will begin heading over in the coming weeks, including the commanding general himself. Sky Arnold, Fox 17 News.